You are alive. You are alive. Oh man. So I'm gonna encourage people to go watch Sam's video. Sam did a good prep video, uh, preparation for Jonathan Pageau and John Vervaeke. I thought he did really good. I'm a bit of a nerd, and he put some nerd stuff in there. Probably would have went over the head of some, if like my children, but man, it was good. I came out of that video that Sam just created. It's like it points at the Midwestuary that's going to happen this year, um, and it starts to try and I guess it asks the question about spirit, right? So the title of the video was "The Ontology of Spirit" and Jonathan Pageau and John Vervaeke Part One, Teleology and Epistemology. It was some fancy words right there. Oh man, it was. I like the way Sam prepped this thing because I can see where John Vervaeke, can have skepticism about tradition. Um, because Pageau is a part of the Orthodox Church, connected to tradition, um, and I could, and then Pageau could be the tension, the opponent to Vervaeke, who might be too individualistic, and so prepping that conversation like that really, I think it prepares for what Vervaeke might call dialogos. There could be a hope for a synthesis there. Like if you're going to have a real synthesis, um, I would imagine that there has, like, could the tradition, the Eastern Orthodox tradition, be questioned, right? And I like how Sam put the Dawkins Peterson uh, point of agreement into that prep video, because that speaks to this something like an evolution, uh, an evolution towards some true form, and we get to be part of that evolution towards some true form. And I would say uh, that should be a threat to tradition. So um, I think that Vervaeke could feel that way. I think I feel that way. That tradition it's good for people to be skeptical of tradition. I mean, we have so many traditions in the world; they are not all right, right? Uh, and so Vervaeke brings that spirit, um, and then Pageau is a counterbalance to the individualism that I mean, I have more individualism than Vervaeke, but you don't want to throw away all your tradition either. There's some synthesis that has to happen uh, between what Peterson called, and Peterson and Dawkins were talking about with these memes that we've inherited throughout history as a species. You can't dismiss those, and that's where tradition will have wisdom. And then there's an emergent environment that we can find ourselves in, and that's where individualism is important. And so there has to be a synthesis of the individualism and the tradition. We got Andrew says tradition lasts for a reason. Adam is a fan of tradition. Yeah, we don't want to throw out the tradition, but I don't, yeah, I don't know if I'm with. I would say maybe Vervaeke and myself would have a distrust of tradition, and I don't think that's bad. It's actually good. If the world is evolving and emergent, there has to be a carving away of the dead wood so that we can be most fit uh, for the emergent world without, throwing away the good stuff. There could even be things where there's good stuff that we would want to retain for the future that might not be needed now. It's like you don't want to throw it away. But I'm going to share a link. I don't want to sit here and just talk. Give a chance for others to hop in. Andrew always hops in, and it becomes what are the channels where we get to watch people eat? So, what is Andrew eating today? Let's change the title of the stream. But I am looking forward to a conversation with. I'm looking forward to listening to Pageau and Vervaeke discuss these. It'd be cool if Vervaeke was more direct in his skepticism of tradition, but I don't think that necessarily, he might not be comfortable doing that in public because he has wisdom, more wisdom than myself. It'd actually be cool to hear that conversation in private, where you get to hear Vervaeke open up with his honest opinions about his skepticism of tradition. Because, tradition's popular. Here we got Adam. Tradition helps in historical connection to ancestors. We just need to make sure that what is harmful to individuality is not part of tradition. Sounds good. I think that I would add in, the emergent world as well. So, like, we're on the internet. Tradition, I don't know if tradition equipped us with handling Facebook and YouTube. So, yeah, I mean, there's a part where you need to maybe add things onto tradition, and pay attention to the spirit of tradition to handle an emergent world with the internet. And yeah, question the when tradition can become a danger unto itself. One thing I went and watched King of Kings at the movies with my kids, and it made me think about, like, quote unquote theology for children. Theology for children. Um, there's something to be said about packaging up your tradition into something that's good for the most number of people possible, and especially for children, uh, for humans in our most immature state. So you don't want to toss that out either. Well, if nobody hops in, this will just be an advertisement to point at Sam's video. I thought he did good work. I liked how he attempted to use make yeah, he used data science, artificial intelligence to help make his point about what he used words. I bet there were four causes, and he made the point that we could pay attention to something like formal cause and what final cause, and that I guess the claim would be that in modernity we haven't paid enough attention to formal cause and final cause. But it was good. So if nobody hops in, this should just be an advertisement. Adam says, a new axis of expression is not opposed to tradition. It just opens up new forms. Yeah, it's hard for me because I'm not connected to tradition. So it's hard to, yeah, I'm more familiar with just going into the unknown blind without tradition, and being able to do that. And so I'm very ignorant of tradition. Let's see, James. I have an opinion about almost everything, but I don't want to disrupt your intended vibe, and I don't really understand what the topic is exactly. So I'm just using this as a chance to point at Sam Tiedemann over at Transfigured, who is raising awareness about Midwestuary outside of Chicago this year in August. He was doing prep work for a conversation between Jonathan Pageau and John Vervaeke. Um, and it was very good. I'll give you the title. The title of the video was The Ontology of Spirit and Jonathan Pageau and John Vervaeke. And Sam included, I thought he did a good job. So, yeah, and I'll repeat, I'd love to see, what I really want to see is Vervaeke open up about his skepticism of tradition. But I would imagine that would be a private conversation. Um, and then I think, can I be skeptical of tradition in my ignorance? Yeah, it's like in the Christian tradition, there's the idea of the Trinity, and it's like, does the Trinity, the theology of the Trinity, is it helpful for my children? Those are the kinds of questions I would ask. So there's a tradition within, for example, Eastern Orthodoxy and Catholicism, and which has this theology of the Trinity, and I think um, like the true form of God and the true form of Jesus, the claim could be made that the true form uh, would not include the Trinity, and so this is where myself, Sam Tiedemann, could be skeptical of that tradition that we've inherited, which includes Trinity, in an attempt to make sure that we have knowledge of the most true form of God and Jesus. Um, and I know that if you're in the tradition, that would that would seem like people who question that tradition that includes the theology of the Trinity, that we would seem like arrogant. Um, could seem arrogant, not to everybody, but I would hope that there would be a sense that we were made, the our true form as individuals is that we were made to be skeptical, and that in that I think it can help in the overall um, discovery of the true form, the becoming of our true form as individuals and as a species and as all of creation. So you got to have some people who are questioning the Trinity, which is just an example of a part of a Christian tradition. And I would suspect that there are similar examples that are part of every tradition. So I can only, let's see, we got James. James asks, is conversation in this context like debate, except more casual? So what's actually happening, I'm going to assume I know what you're talking about. So when John Vervaeke and Jonathan Pageau will have a conversation. What they might be having would be what John Vervaeke calls dialogos, which requires this um, real listening to each other, such that, and these are my own words, right? John Vervaeke has his own definition, but my understanding is that when this good kind of conversation happens, there is a willingness to go play each other's game, what they're most interested in. So each person comes into that interaction and they have their favorite game, they have their goals, they have their interests, and there has to be a willingness to go to be curious and listen and try to understand the other person's goals and interests and play their game. And then the other person has to be able to do it too. And there could be a taking turns. And then the hope of that would be that there would be some type of an outcome that would be good for both people. And so it's not really a debate. It's not like a classical debate or a classical conversation. It's more like what I would call marriage. It's what a husband and wife should be doing in a good marriage. Let's see. Yep. All right. Well, that's it. I look forward to the potential dialogos between John Vervaeke and Jonathan Pageau, where they attempt to uh, play each other's games. They've had the opportunity to get to know each other and earn each other's trust over time, which allows for them to go into that and have the highest potential for something good to come out of it. So I look forward to it. Y'all go check out that video. Thank you, Sam, for making that video. Sam, Chad, Neil. I don't know who all's putting on Midwestuary. Thank you to all of y'all and the guest speakers for attending. And thank you to Jacob for allowing me to host. The link to Sam's video is in the description. Y'all have a good day and God bless.